can you count? How far can you see? How can I catch up? Will you wait for me?
I knew, I think, as a small child, I didn't really come out until I was like 18, 19, 20. I knew, even as a child, that I felt different from most men. What did that mean? What that meant was that I had internalized an idea about masculinity that was essentialized by heterosexual attraction. So in my head, being a man was not just about having a dick or dressing a certain way or talking a certain way. It was specifically about wanting sex with women. That's crazy.
What does it taste like? How does it feel? What is it made of? Do you think it's real? Well, at least the sun ain't gonna lie.
Traditional romantic love, i.e., a partnership between two individuals, been really defined by the presence of a man and a woman, and not just defined by, but essentialized. And what I mean by essentialized is that, like, it almost can't exist without a man and a woman. It's almost like the models of traditional romantic love that I saw and studied and absorbed, just like we all absorb social constructions all around us all the time, they were heteronormative, or normalizing heterosexuality. So for example, I'm 6 years old, I'm watching the Rugrats. We got mom and dad, right? I'm watching Power Rangers, the pink Power Ranger, the blue Power Ranger. We got Donald and Daisy, Mickey and Minnie. You know, it's funny now, off the top of my head, I do remember Will and Grace. And that was a huge fucking deal, you know, in the 90s, that there was a gay couple on Will and Grace. And I remember hearing about that, or people talking about that, and feeling like, almost like icky about it myself. Our culture is so funny, you know, we're at once like hush hush and we like to privatize sex and not talk about sex, but it's also fucking pervasive. It's everywhere. Everything we do is defined by sex and sexuality and by who we are having sex with. Now that also translated into other spaces. I remember like being 7 and 8 and 9 and, oh God, somehow I ended up playing soccer and baseball. I was not particularly athletic. I wonder now if that's because, you know, I also associated athleticism with masculinity, and because I felt rejected by my internal and subconscious understanding of my non-heterosexuality, because I felt rejected by that and that masculinity, maybe I then pushed away other aspects of masculinity, like athleticism. You know, and I remember being called a faggot on the soccer field and like missing. I remember like one time I like fucked up. Like I was playing defense or something and they scored a goal and it was definitely my fault 100%. And I remember being devastated. I remember the kids like calling me names and just like being like clearly disappointed in me. And the disappointment, it for me at that moment in retrospect, it felt they weren't just disappointed in the fact that I lost the game or the goal or whatever. They were disappointed in my being, in me, and the disappointment translated deep inside of me like, holy shit, I am a disappointment. My lack of normative masculinity makes me worth less. Not worthless, but worth less. I mean, I remember like 2 distinct times that I was called a fag. Once, that soccer example I just gave you, and then another time in high school where I'm still not out and still not athletic, but still having an athletic space, a masculine space, gym class. And I'm writing a new song now, actually, that has a reference to gym class, but called Teach You How to Be a Man. Teach you how to be a man. Anyways, the other example was in gym class, volleyball, the gayest of sports. I'm serving, right? And I was actually doing well, and I'm serving, and I was like, I kept getting aces where like, you know, no one's good at volleyball, we're all just playing, but I happened to like be able to, whatever, over the thing. And I got like 10 points in a row. And I remember on the 10th or 11th one, everyone was like, ooh, yeah, go Michael, like I was doing well. And I remember this guy turned to me and he was like, yeah, good job, gay boy, or good job, fag boy, something like that. On that one, I was like so disappointed and sad and publicly embarrassed that I like messed it up. Like I messed up the next serve on purpose, and everyone kind of like got mad at him. I always was friends with the girls, like until later. Like I think that's because I felt so, especially early on when you're in 5th and 6th and 7th grade, like we're so divided. You know, the girls and the boys don't hang out with each other, and then like they're just starting to have crushes, and you know. So I was friends with the girls because I felt so rejected from the culture of middle school boys, you know. And so this is what, let's say I'm 27. This is 15 years ago. And so much has changed in 15 years. I think the Obama presidency in particular, thank you President Obama, for honestly, hugely bringing LGBTQ issues and conversations into mainstream media and politics. Like, because I talk to kids who are 12 and 13 now, even in my high school or from my town or people I know, and they're out and about, and they're like, and it's just it's crazy how quickly that switch happened. And I grew up in a liberal place outside of New York City. Then in high school, and throughout earlier too, middle school too, I was like a really good student. And I think now I've realized over the last few years that a lot of my hard work and like I got straight A's, I was president of all these clubs, I was like very overachiever, you know, leading the school play, blah blah blah. And I think a lot of that was my own overcompensation for this thing that I felt inside of me that I knew was wrong with me. That I felt the disappointment within myself, I felt the disappointment from people around me, and I feared that if I came out or if I was openly gay, somehow my gayness would overshadow the fact that I got straight A's, the fact that I was a leader, the fact that I was smart, the fact that I was good at all this other stuff. I would just be like the gay boy. If I pushed away the idea of being gay and developed my own sort of concept of myself as a young man, smart, hardworking, kind of friends with everyone, too busy for love, you know. Why don't you have a girlfriend? I'm like, oh, I'm too busy. I'm studying for AP chemistry. Oh, I'm too busy. I got rehearsal. You know, I would have a crush. I remember there was one girl, my junior or senior year, and I had a crush on her all year long. And what I did is I turned her. My friends were, hey, what's up with Phoebe? Phoebe, you know who you are if you see this, because we were texting a couple months ago. You know, what's up with her? Like, what's up? And I constantly had a reason that she was unavailable. Oh, she's busy. She has that. Da 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 da. Oh, but I have feelings for her though. Like, oh, she's the one. You know. Oh, I'm not interested in anyone else. It's only her. So by focusing my attention only on her, I kind of created a shield around myself in a way to like protect myself from exposing the fact that I didn't fucking like girls. But I just it was all about her, but she was unavailable because I was too busy or she was too busy or I couldn't have her, and she was the thing that I wanted and longed for, but didn't allow myself to actually have. So that kind of bought myself time and space. Does that make sense? Meanwhile, as early as 6th, 7th grade, people have boyfriends and girlfriends, right? People are starting to get blowjobs in the bathroom. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you're 13, 14, maybe a little later with the blowjobs in the bathroom, but I mean, the shit went down, or at least what people were talking about, whether it was true or not. You know, the rumors, ooh, they did this, they did that, I heard they kissed, they went to a movie, you know what I mean? So as 12 and 13 and 11-year-olds, and 14 and 15 and 16 for sure, we are now developing a youth culture that values and discusses sex and romance. Why? Because we've been watching these TV shows and this radio and this media and everything for our whole life that idealizes sex and makes us obsessed with sex, but also we can't talk about it and don't let your parents know, and it's also a secret, you know? So there's this pull and pull of the secrecy, of the privacy, and the publicness of sex and sexuality. And I'm watching that happen around me and feeling further and further and further distant, you know? I think about some of my best straight male friends from high school who started going on dates since when they were in 7th grade, and it might have just been a date to the movie, or it might have been they sat together at the cafeteria and everyone knew that, oh my god, a boy and a girl sitting together, because like I said, we were segregated at that point by gender because we were all so uncomfortable. So it was a big deal when a girl and a boy sat together, and I would watch that happen, and I would be sitting with all the girls, but not because I had a crush on any of them, but because I was just the faggot sitting with all the girls, and those were my girls. We have to respect what makes people feel good. And this is something that I've only recently started to swallow, because I used to be much more militant. I was angry at my friends who were in successful traditional romantic partnerships, because I felt like they were just letting the system win. You know, for example, like I have a really good lesbian friends who are getting married next year, and we've had a lot of conversations about what is marriage, what is a wedding, like, and now gay people can get married too in all 50 states until Trump reverses it. But no, hopefully he's not gonna. But you know, now gay people can get married too. So woohoo, like we made it. And it's like, no, like the institution of marriage is an institution that like is so based in patriarchy and heteronormative patriarchy. Like, so to me it just kind of feels like sometimes like I have to reject that. Like that is not, that system was not designed for me. So like, thank you for letting me in now, but like, no, that wasn't designed for me. And my personal thoughts on that fluctuate, but at the same time, I have these lesbian friends who want to get married, and they love weddings, and they're hyped about weddings, and they love the tradition around it, and they want the flowers, and they want it to be just right, and I'm so happy for them. I'm thrilled for them, because that's their happiness. If something's working for someone, let that work for them. The conversation needs to be around space for things to work for everyone, right? So like, that's working for you, it's not working for me, but I'm happy for you. I want you to be happy. Your happiness is my happiness. Can we have a conversation now around how we can build a space that can be inclusive of me so that we can all have something that makes us happy? Seems like the ones I let into me, baby, they don't care. They got a million distractions, leave me with a fraction of my heart.